Good evening. Welcome to our event, and I would like to thank you for everyone's support. It's amazing to me, when we first started this Feed 'em event, it wasn't just only to feed the community and the needy. It was to help bring the community together, and I see quite a few different community churches represented here tonight. I keep hearing, and I don't really like hearing it, but I keep hearing Craig and Jenny's Feed Them program. It's not Craig and Jenny's Feed Them program. God has been providing food for people since the beginning of time, starting in the Garden of Eden, and through the desert he fed the manna, and we're commanded though to help the poor and the less fortunate and our brothers and sisters, even our enemies. And Jenny made little bookmarkers back there with Proverbs 22 on it, and I invite everybody to grab one. But it said, "Blessed are those who are generous because they feed the poor." I would just like, again, to thank everybody and open with a little word of prayer. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you. Thank you for this gathering. Thank you for making us a community of one, that we can reach out and help the ones that you need, and maybe they will see Jesus Christ in our lives the way we live and want to be more like us and bring them to you. We pray this in the name of your precious Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
All right, good evening. My name is Mark Myers. I'm the chair of the Music and Worship Committee here. I have actually known Jeff, we decided tonight, for almost 15 years. Our way of figuring that out was that we met when my 26-year-old daughter was at a junior high conference. We live less than 10 miles apart and have probably 10 friends in common, but we had never met. So we met in Virginia, where Ken Meadham introduced us at an event. I was his seeing eye person for the evening. If any of you know Ken is a visually impaired performer, and I was his seeing eye person, and over the course of the conversation, he says, "Do you know Jeff? He only lives 10 miles from you." And I said, "No." So that was almost 15 years ago. So we've had several projects together since then. His performances are always fun and enjoyable. He is an awesome storyteller and a composer. And he had a program called Water into Wine, which we figured would be perfect for a fundraiser for the Feed Them program. So without further ado, here's Jeff.
Telling a story sometimes means giving a little background. And to tell the story of the birth of our Lord over 2,000 years ago, we ought to go right on back to the beginning. Yes, that beginning. There's a list that charts the generations from Adam right up through Joseph, husband of Mary, mother of Jesus. You may not recognize everybody on that list, but like everybody's relatives and forebears, there's some fine folk and there's some real stinkers. They done some good, they done some bad, but one thing they all done real well was begat one another. Lots of begatting over the years. Lots of begatting was done. The son of a son of a son of a son, son of a son. Of a son. And Jesus and Joseph, Eli, Mathat, Levi and Melchi, as a matter of fact. Some I can't pronounce, some I cannot spell. And if you want to know them all, you can look them up yourself. 78 names are here in the line. If I sang every one, it would take a long time. I'll point out a few from this glorious well. I'm especially fond of Zerubbabel. Everybody now. Oh. A different culture and a different place. Can't always put a name with a face. The meanings of some are historical blur. And I don't know why they named their child The genealogy of any family tree can have some implications you can plainly see. Begatting continues, it goes on and on. I've repeatedly tried to end this soul. Everybody now. Oh. Hey! Thanks. So my name is Jeff Roat, as Mark tells you, and for the last 35 years or so, I've been performing and working as an actor and a musician and a composer. Someone once called me a theatrical storyteller. And we'd be looking at food stories in Scripture and food for thought and food for our soul. And I've done a lot of work with Ted Swartz over the years, and some of these songs are as a result of my conversations and my collaboration with Ted. I'll also be digging into some of my own stories and kind of intermixing those with the other ones in this wonderful creation of God's called humor. In one of the more famous stories in the Gospels, many people had gathered to hear Jesus teach. Accounts say it was up to 5,000, not including the women and kids. And a couple of the disciples came to Jesus and said, Jesus, just a moment. It's going so well, and I hope someone's writing this down. It's getting kind of late, and I was wondering if you maybe wrap things up a little bit and you'd send them all home so they can get something to eat. Supper, dinner, whatever they call it in this part of Bethel. And Jesus said, no, they don't need to go. You give them something to eat. And when we sit at a table together and open our kitchens and homes, we open our hearts. And when the heat of the oven mingles with the smells of butter and spices and garlic, when we hold hands and say, welcome, the kingdom of God seems vibrant and oh, so near. And it all starts with you giving something to eat. What's for lunch, you might ask? Is it stories from the past? When we tell them here today, I wonder what they'll say. When we sit and break the bread, or we sit and scratch our head. For what we put up on a plate is how we stuff our shells. Spaghetti, spaghettini, spaghettoni, rigatoni, ravioli, fagioli, vermicelli, capellini, cannelloni, macaroni, manicotti, stuffed shells, tortellini, linguini, fettuccine, farfaluncini, bellini, bucatini, cavatelli, and rutini is how we stuff our shells. Stuffed shells, it's what we really are, and what we put upon our plate is how we stuff our shells. Stuffed shells, it's what we really are, and what we put upon our plate is how we stuff our shells. Arrabbiata bolognese, marinara and ragu, Alfredo and alfresco, al dente, a la carte. And what we put upon a plate is who we really are. Spaghetti, spaghettini, spaghettoni, rigatoni, ravioli, basilic, now we stuff our shells. That's shells, stuffed shells, it's what we really are. And what we put upon our plate is how we stuff our shells. Stuffed shells, it's who we really are. And what we put into our hearts is how we stuff our shells. You know, people find all kinds of power from reading a novel or watching a movie that they know is a work of fiction. How much more so than are your stories when they're rooted in truth? Jesus was a great storyteller. He often used parables to illustrate a point, and we've come to love these parables. We might forget that he was telling us a story to teach us about something about ourselves. Tell me a story I know is true, even if I've heard it before. And talk to me in parables the way he did right from the start. Eye of the needle, little mustard seed. He always tried to show us so that we could see. Whisper gently so my soul can breathe. I need every word. And tell me of each miracle, oh everyone, right from the heart. Water into wine, swan diving swine, see the lame dance. It's not just by chance. Water into wine, swan diving swine, see the lame dance. God's not just by chance. So tell me a story I know is true. I need to hear it once more. Our oldest son, Alan, was a senior in high school way back in 2003. And one day he came and met me for lunch. And somehow our conversation wound up talking about training wheels. And Alan said, "Dad, I can remember the first time I rode my bike without training wheels. I remember how the sidewalk looked. I remember where each crack in the concrete was. I remember finding my balance. Finding your balance. Wow. You know, you don't just have to be a mother or father to walk alongside someone to help them find their balance. And maybe they will help you find yours. Training wheels and been removed like when you were small. Now it's time to let you ride alone. We pray that you don't fall. Building blocks and blanket forts in the living room. Those seeds upon a windowsill and now about to bloom. And as your father or your mother, we wonder if you could tell, while we were teaching you, you're teaching us as well. You got a fashion style that's all your own. Sometimes you drive a little wild. And if we haven't told you recently, we're blessed that you're our child. And to your brother, you are a friend beyond compare. The conversations that you have are an answer to our prayer. And as your father or your mother, we wonder if you could tell, while we were teaching you, you're teaching us as well. The training wheels go round and around. It seems they barely touch the ground. The colors of your changing world are like the autumn leaves. The decisions that you make each day, will they reflect what you believe? So remember where you came from as you discover who you'll be, and making your life story part of your own memory. And as your father or your mother, we wonder if you could tell, while we were teaching you, we were loving you as well. The following is a true story. And when the boys were young, we did not have a lot of money. And now that they're older. But we occasionally would splurge on a fancy restaurant like Burger King. We drove through the Burger King drive-thru in reverse. 'Twas an '84 Isuzu Trooper. We weren't even driving a hearse. You should have seen the look on their faces. Some were thrilled and others much worse. The day we drove through the Burger King drive-thru in reverse. I don't know what possessed me to do it, but I did. It was just me and Cindy and Alan and Nettie, the kids. Drove into the parking lot, turned it around on the spot, decided that we'd go in facing the other way. The ordering went fine. To the unseen voice on the speaker, there was nothing out of line. In great anticipation, for we were in the know, she said these wonderful words, please pull up to the next window. We were instant celebrities in the lane. They were pointing and laughing at us as we rose to Burger King fame. I remember hearing people proclaim, "Hey, look at the people in the car." That's all we were, just 4 people in a car. There was really nothing that extraordinary about it. I mean, I realized we were facing the other direction, but we kind of thought it was kind of fun. We would order our food, pay for our food through the passenger window, receive our food, and we thought that was the end of it. No more, we'd have a good laugh. And then the next car pulled into the queue. She'd move up, and she'd move back. And she wouldn't move another inch forward. The first thing she saw was the front of our car. A confused look on her face said she wouldn't go very far. She applied the brakes, then slowly backed up. Looked around wondering, how could this be? The car I should be behind is somehow facing me. And she tried once more and then wouldn't budge. She was convinced that we were in the wrong, but she would not come another inch forward. And we left, and I can only imagine the conversation she must have had when she finally got up and got her food. And then telling her family and friends, her prayer group at the church, the years in therapy. One thing's for certain, along with a handful of Burger King patrons and staff and our ill-fated driver, we gave him a story, all because we drove through the Burger King drive-thru in reverse. 'Twas an '84 Isuzu Trooper. We weren't even driving a hearse. You should have seen the look on their faces. Some were thrilled and others much worse. The day we drove through the Burger King drive-thru in reverse. Well, I believe this was sometime long before everybody had a cell phone and there was no closed-circuit TV or the cameras and all that stuff, just that big mirror. So I don't know if you could still do it, but I would encourage you to try. This portion of the program is brought to you by chapstick. Did you ever notice women, when they apply chapstick, do thusly? Men, however, have not learned this skill. If you will notice, Men hold the chapstick still and move their head back and forth. That's why you never see men with chapped cheeks. We now resume the regular programming already in progress. Our youngest son, Ed, was about 14, and he was going to go with the youth group down to Baltimore at the discipleship house. And they're in the inner city, and they were going to go out on a service project. They had two options. They could go pick up trash in some of those areas that needed help, or they could go visit someone in a nursing home. Now, this is not Brethren Village. This is not Willow Valley or Landis Home. This is a house that has become, that's where the old folks go. And Eddie's a little squeamish. When you're 14, the sights, sounds, and smells of a nursing home are, they are what they are, but he wasn't ready for that. But they were going to be assigned a resident. And he said, I think I'll be okay as long as they don't get her. And sure enough, that's who he was assigned. And when he came home, he said, Dad, it was amazing. I spent an afternoon with this woman, and I know I'll never see her again. And she's in that house. There's no porch. Maybe they open the window once in a while. Maybe they've got a room air conditioner, but she never even know the sounds or the feeling of the breeze anymore. But Dad, she changed my perspective. And she had the perfect name. Her name was Pearl. And she was a pearl, like the silver in her hair and her iridescent smile. I only knew her for a while, and I knew when I left that day we might never meet again. Somehow I knew I'd made a friend. She was more than a diamond in the rough. I found out I'm not so tough. And she was a pearl. Taught me things about me I hardly knew myself. All in an afternoon. She helped to place a new song in my heart. Now I sing a different tune. And I know if she's in heaven and through the silver of the clouds, I see her iridescent smile. And I thank God loaned her to me for a while. She was a pearl. And I know that you're in heaven, and through the silver of the clouds, I see your iridescent smile. And I thank God He loaned you to me for a while. Oh, how they named you right. I remember you tonight. I've never known another. You you are my pearl. I'm finding at 62 and a half years old, I still use the half. I usually stop that when you're 9.5, but I'm still using it. Sometimes I'm finding things that move me in a way that is sacred. And I'm surprised when they don't come from what I was taught was sacred. Instead, I'm becoming more aware of seeing it in new or familiar, yet wonderfully unexpected places. The text in a poem, a song on the oldies radio. God is whispering and nudging me all along the way to listen and wonder. It is there I shall find the sacred. Or maybe the sacred will find me. Someone told me long ago, there's a calm before the storm. I know it's been coming for some time. When it's over, so they say, it'll rain a sunny day. I know, shining down like water. I want to know, have you ever seen the rain? I want to know, have you ever seen the rain? Coming down on a sunny day. Yesterday and days before, sun is cold and rain is hot. I know, been that way for all my time. Till forever on it goes, through the rivers fast and slow. I know, it can't stop, I wonder. I want to know, have you ever seen the rain? I want to know, have you ever seen the rain? Coming down a sunny day. Now, sometimes when you reference a historical figure, you have to take in mind that all our ages are different. But that doesn't mean, we know stuff from before our time. We don't. And so sometimes you may not be old enough. I'm not old enough to remember, the 40s. But there was a historical figure named Dear Abby. Just to give us all a review, she had a column in national papers all across the country. And if you had a problem, you would write in your problem to Dear Abby, and she would respond with an answer. And so everybody knew your business, any paper that she was in. And it's so glad that we don't have anything like that today. There is that Facebook thing. So, Dear Abby, a grandmother had written to Dear Abby about a poem that her grandson had written. She thought it was a marvelous piece. And so Abby was going to respond, and she wasn't sure if she was going to print it and all that. I give you Present Tense by Jason Lehman. Dear Abby, you frequently print poems you think are worth sharing with your readers. I'm sending you one written by my grandson, Jason. He is 14 years old and lives in New Haven, Connecticut. I hope you think it's worth printing. Mrs. Irene Lehman, Pompano Beach. Dear Mrs. Lehman, I do, but I must confess that I had difficulty in believing that a 14-year-old could view life from such mature and philosophical perspective. So, I telephoned Jason. I told him I planned to publish it. So if he wasn't the author, to please fess up, or the repercussions could be very embarrassing. Jason assured me he was the author. So, dear readers, here is a poem from a talented young poet whom I think is wise beyond his years. Present Tense by Jason Lehman. It was spring, but it was summer I wanted. The warm days and the great outdoors. It was summer, but it was fall I wanted. The cool, dry air and the beautiful leaves. It was fall, but it was winter I wanted. The beautiful snow and the joy of the holiday season. It was winter, but it was spring I wanted. The warmth and the blossoming of nature. I was a child, but it was adulthood I wanted. The freedom and the respect. I was 20, but it was 30 I wanted, to be mature and sophisticated. I was 40, but it was 20 I wanted. The youth and the free spirit. I was retired, but it was middle-aged I wanted. The presence of mind without limitations. My life was over, but I never got what I wanted. I had performed that piece for 35 years, something like that. Cindy brought it to me one time. I needed an audition piece for a show I was going to try out for, and so I used that for my monologue, and I sang When I See an Elephant Fly from Dumbo, because I was pretty sure nobody was going to do that combination. I got the part. Back to some more food stories. Before Jesus was John the Baptist, in limited diet choice while he was out wandering. He had to be very creative with his recipes, and we all know that it was honey and locusts. Now, over the years as I've done this song, sometimes after a performance, a guy, and it's usually a guy, will come up, Mr. Bible knowledge? Well, you know, actually, they had much more than just honey and locusts. There was grains and various types of things that they would forage for. I know, but honey and locusts is funnier. Well, be that as may, that's not entirely correct. So if you're here tonight, everything locust, everything sweet, picking locust legs from in between my teeth, organically roasted till you pop 'em in. Crunchy and tasty locust abdomen, honey, honey, golden honey will keep you focused when eating locust. Locust antenna, locust head and neck, I buy 'em by the bushel, buy 'em by the peck. I got me a bucket of 1,000 locust wings with a little dipping sauce. You're gonna wanna sing, honey, honey, golden honey will keep you focused on eating locusts. Locust for breakfast, it'll not make you sick. You can take about 200, skewered on a stick, a little locust latte, freshly made. The perfect complement to locust marmalade. Oh, honey, honey, golden honey will keep you focused. Wait, eating locust. Locust linguine, locust panini, locust lasagna, locust florentini, locust lima bean, locust London broil, locust limburger cheese, locust vinegar and oil, lollipops, lady fingers, locust macaroons, locust lemon meringue, so much locust you are gonna wanna burst, especially locust liverwurst. Oh, honey, honey, golden honey will keep you focused when eating locusts. Oh, honey, honey, golden honey will keep you focused when eating locusts. How are we doing on time? You okay? I don't want to leave here. Okay. Quarter of. Okay. I have enough for the next 4 hours. I think I'm good. More food stories, taken directly from Scripture. Just not at all embellished. Now that the way had been prepared, Jesus began gathering his crew, his amigos, his gang of ragged and desperate seekers. Disciples, we call them. A disciple, a follower. They didn't know what they were in for. They just knew they needed to follow this man. And there was a wedding. Weddings, times of celebration, times of new beginnings. Two people starting out together, and there was a particular wedding in the town of Cana. It may have been an arranged marriage, but perhaps we can imagine two people having fallen in love. To fall in love, to drop down into each other, hoping the other will catch you as you fall. And it was a good wedding. The bride was radiant, the mother so proud. The groom sufficiently nervous he'd met his new mother-in-law. It was almost a perfect day. And then, we're out of wine. Oh, we're out of wine. The keg is empty. I only had one glass. We're out of wine. It seems the host had underestimated the wine consumption of the guests. Perhaps it was just a particularly thirsty crowd, or perhaps it was those new friends, the ones to whom Jesus had said, "Come along, we're going to a wedding, it'll be fun." They're out of wine. Oh, they're out of wine. Chardonnay? No. Riesling? No. Merlot? No. Cabernet Sauvignon, Sangiovese, Zinfandel, Gewürztraminer. God bless you. Shiraz, Pinot, Malbec, Boone's Farm, Thunderbird, Wild Irish Road, Mad Dog 2020. They're out of wine. Oh. And so they said, "Do you have any food?" I said, "Food? We've got food. We've got cheese." Cheese? Oh, we've got cheese. Gorgonzola, Parmesan, mozzarella, Danish Fimbo, Greek feta, Wensleydale, Camembert, Venezuelan beaver cheese. 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 Parts. Venezuelan beaver cheese. Venezuelan. One more. Venezuelan beaver cheese. Roquefort, Stilton, Norwegian Jarlsberger, Baby Bell Brie, some tasty Appenzeller, double Worcester, double Gloucester, Fromage de Montagne de Savoie, de Savoie, oh, de Savoie, oh, de Savoie. Cheese Whiz, cream cheese Velveeta, and some cheese puffs labeled Jack's. Got a wheel of veggie Gouda that's prepared in blue-hued wax. But we don't have wine, no 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 wine. Domino vino, no wine. Now, at this same wedding was Jesus' mother, Mary. And she says, Jesus, son, these nice people, they were nice enough to invite you here. And your scruffy friends, including the big fellow who's been to the buffet 4 times. They're out of wine and I could really use a glass. And Jesus said, it's not my place. This is how you talk to your mother? How old are you? You're 30. Edith's son, he's already a podiatrist. You've been gathering these men. I don't know if I would have chosen all of them. You're still living at home. The business, Joseph, God rest his soul, he always said, Mary, the boy's not a woodworker. He's a dreamer. Jesus, it's time. Kind of unexpected. That's how he usually is. You should have seen our faces. Why did Jesus listen to his mother? We don't know for sure. It could have been to get her off his back, or it could be what she was saying made perfect sense. He called the servants together and said, you and I, we're going to make a splash. Fill those jars with water. Fill the big ones. Let's make a big splash. We wondered at the wonder never seen before. Took our breath away and more. We saved the best till now. Save the best till now. And it was good. It was aged in oak barrels, Montrachet good. And the master of the feast said, usually they bring out the best wine when all the guests are already, but you brought out the good stuff now. Where'd you get this? The servants knew. The servants knew. I like that. Used to be some water, and suddenly it's wine. He didn't have to understand that he said, now it's time. Save the best till now. Save the best till now. I have 2 more for you for this evening. When that song was written, Save the Best Till Now, usually you say save the best for last. And it was changing the idea of now can be the best time. And I thought about this with the, when they do food pantries or those kind of things, when people bring canned goods. So often we go and we take out of our cupboard what we don't want. oh, I'm never going to use those stewed pineapples, or whatever it might be. Why don't we take our very best? Take the things that we love and give those things first. It's a great practice to think about doing it differently. I realize you're doing it with money, which is a smarter way of doing it to fund things like that. But give your very best, and it has an amazing, amazing result. How do things fit together in life? It's common to question, will we have enough money? What about, will we have enough faith, enough time? Do we think about having enough patience, enough temper, in case we lose ours? I believe we forget the extent of what we have already learned about life and ourselves, no matter our age. There is already a reservoir within us to handle what is next headed our way. Will there be enough or too little? Maybe it'll be just right. With all that he said, a little fish and bread, I think I'm gonna make it through the night. And Jesus said, you give them something, you give them something to eat. Pass the potatoes, pass the bread. Won't you hang around till everybody's fed? I know that I am believing everything is gonna change. For you and me, it's gonna be like nothing before that we have ever seen. One more for you. Thanks for having me here. It's been a delight to be part of this in this way. I'm going to close with a story about Lazarus. Lazarus is familiar in that we know he was alive, then dead, and then brought back to life again. And I don't suppose that was easy for Lazarus to understand. Now, I'm not taking anything away from the miracle. No, not at all. Lazarus certainly had a lot to contend with. It makes sense of what had happened to him. You know, I suspect there might have been a little needed therapy. He had to get the life insurance check back. The bill for the caterer came and he never even got to eat the stewed pineapples. We're not that much different. God guides us through something mighty, troubling, and we don't know how to respond. We lament that we endured. We might even regress and try to justify our actions. With time, hopefully, we can see and celebrate this new outlook on life and kick those Lazarus blues. Don't know what I'm gonna do after all that I've been through. I've been seeing my counselor twice a week. I'm feeling a little bit trapped, starting to feel just a little unwrapped. What I got, I know they call the Lazarus blues. They tell me I got B.O. That's a little bit harsh because I was dead, you know. Personal hygiene was out of my hands. Hey, death, you got no sting. I'm gonna start a store called Linens and Things. What I'm trying to shed is these Lazarus blues. My life was literally lost and found. I was lying dead in a tomb. No life to be found, to be found, to be found. I didn't know whether I was pointing south or north. When the Lord says, come forth, you come forth. Got a whole different outlook on life than I ever did before. Not afraid of no deposit, no return. Since I heard him call my name, I got an extreme makeover, and I'm back in the game. And I think that I can kick these Lazarus blues. How about you? Yeah, I think that I can kick these Lazarus blues. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I think that's on. Now it's on. Yeah, thank you so much, Jeff. That was just amazing. I did want to announce, though, that we do not have any locust pie here for sale. So I'm sorry to disappoint, or locust cookies. And also, we are actually getting a Burger King right out here at Bethel. So I think we should set up a camera. Because I think there might be a few of us try the reverse thing. So, oh man, that was amazing, Jeff. Let's give him another round of applause. I'm going to step up. I'm not as short as he is. So the reason we're here tonight is for the Feed Them charity that Craig and I started, but it is not ours. It is the Lord's. It was put on our hearts quite a few years ago, and it took my husband to push me to get the courage to start feeding people at the food bank once a month. We started in September of 2021, and our first meal was hot dogs on the grill with some Diefenbach's chips. Got to support the locals, and some applesauce. We progressed through meatballs and soups and barbecues. And last month I've heard from multiple people that our beef tip stroganoff over noodles was delightful. So our first event, we fed around 225, and the last event I purchased 300 containers and I ran out of containers. So we fed over 280 people and families that come through the food bank, and then I felt that it was justified to feed our workers, who there are several of them here, that work our food bank every month, and they get to smell the food and they never get to taste it. And so we fed them as well. So it was great. In those 7 events that we had, we did skip Christmas, the month of December. We fed over 1,700 meals. The average meal costs us less than $2 a person. Here's one. Here's two. $2 a person for a meal. That's all it costs. Our gathering place is very generous and supplies containers, and our church and the community have been supporting us, and I try and spend the blessings from God as wisely as I can. It's amazing to me that everything that happens at the food bank, with the people not understanding. The first month they thought they had to pay for the hot dogs, and now it's tradition. They know that we're there and we're supported by the church community, and what's for dinner tonight is what they say. So that's wonderful. So we're going to start an auction. Everyone, I hope, was looking longingly at the baskets and items in the back. So we will have auction items for sale. We have Jasmine here. I lost her in the lights. She can come forward. She is our great big auctioneer. When you see her, you'll understand why I said great big auctioneer. She's going to stand way up here.
So we know we have a room full of Dutchmen here.
We have a room full of
So we need you to
Dutchmen.
put your Dutch heritage aside. This is not a night to get a deal. This is a night to wildly overpay for things you don't really need.
This isn't budget shopping. This is, if you spend $20, you're feeding 10 people. If you spend 100, you're feeding 50 people with that $100 that you spend here. So my team is going to start coming forward. We need to slide the piano over and get that out of this young woman's way. Jasmine is a certified auctioneer apprentice. Is that correct?
Yes.
All right, so some of you have heard her, and apparently she's amazing. I can't wait to hear her. I'm not real good with auction things, so if I randomly wave my hand, just say, yes, you just bought that. So it's okay.
So we can take cash.
Say, oh, yeah,
We
we
can
do.
take
We
checks.
take cash, checks, and my husband does have a card reader here. So if you don't have enough cash on you and you have a
We take
debit or
plastic.
credit card, you can, what, hon?
We take plastic.
We take plastic. Yep, we take plastic.
There you go.
There we go. Blessed are the generous because they will feed the poor. You are my generous crowd. Please be generous tonight while you bid on these auction items. Thank you. I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Jasmine. The first item we're
So what are we doing first? Do you have a description? And make it sound really good. Or you want me to, here? So while they're doing that, I'll remind you that Jeff does sell CDs, and he did cut his performance a little short tonight to give us time to do the auction. So if you'd like to hear more, feel free to look him up online and go to another performance, or stop in the back and see his lovely wife Cindy, who will be happy to sell you CDs with the money left over after you buy your gift basket.
All right. So, hold that up for me. So the first item in honor of Jeff is a water into wine basket. So in the basket there are 4 various size of sports bottles, some lemon juice additives, some flavorings, and then we do have wine. Kind of. Not real. Let's close this. Oops. Sorry. One.
Oh, does Jeff do auction accompaniment? Let it open. All right.
So we do have a bottle of strawberry daiquiri, non-alcoholic. We have some sparkling cider, and we have a red and a rosé. So along with the water bottles, you get to have your wine as well. Yes,
Yes, Todd. Come to the back, please. I got to go to the back. I can make wisecracks from back there.
Just for everyone's added information here,
Yes.
I will be doing some of the auctioneering as well. For those of you that may not know me, my name is Glenn Moyer. I'm a licensed auctioneer, and this lovely young lady is my granddaughter. She is my apprentice, and she's going to assist me here this evening, and she will at some point be not only following in my footsteps, but maybe she'll even have some big shoes to fill. That's because I got big feet. Okay, so I will turn it over to her, and she can start doing some auctioneering for you.
Okay, we do have some people participating online, which could make it a little interesting because there's about a 15-second delay. So I'll try.
Okay, Okay, so that means there's gonna be some lag time, right?
And, well,
So-
they'll give you the bids if
I'll
they
yell.
come online.
Okay.
Let her rip.
Let her go.
Who would have bid 20? 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 I got 20. Would have bid 21. 20 would have bid 21. 21 would have bid 22. I got 21. Would have bid 22. 21 would have bid 22. 21 would have bid 22. Got 21. Would have bid 22. 22 would have bid 23. 22 would have bid 23. I got 22. Would have bid 23. 23 would have bid 24. I got 23. Would have bid 24. 23 would have bid 24. 24 would have bid 25. I got 24. Would have bid 25. 25 would have bid 26. 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 26 would have bid 27. 26 would have bid 27. 26 would have bid 27. Got 27 would have bid 28. 27 would have bid 28. 28 would have been 29, 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 29 would have been 30, 29 would have been 30, 30 would have been 32, 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 32 would have been 34, 32 would have been 34, 32 would have been 34, 34 would have been 38, 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 38 would have been 40, 38 would have been 40, 38 would have been 40, 40 would have been 42, 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 42 would have been 44, 42 would have been 44, 44, 40 would have been 46, 44 would have been 46, 44 would have been 46, 44 would have been 46, 46 would have been 48, 46 would have been 48, 48 would have been 50, 48 would have been 50, 50 would have been 52, 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 50 would have been 52. 52 would have been 54, 52 would have been 54, 54 would have been 56, 54 would have been 56, 54 would have been 56, 56 would have been 58, 56 would have been 58, 56 would have been 58, 58 would have been 60, 58 would have been 60, 60 would have been 62, 60 would have been 62, 60 would have been 62, 62 would have been 64, 62 would have been 64, 64 would have been 66, 64 would have been 66, 64 would have been 66, 66 would have been 68, 68 would have been 70, 68 would have been 70, 70 would have been
100.
72.
100.
100 would have been 110, 100 would have been 110, 100 would have been 110, 100 would have been 110. $100 sold.
That is sold to Cindy Moyer Bradley, who is bidding from Lebanon. So we're going to need to collect from her later. Oh, she's in West Virginia. She's watching from West Virginia.
Is this on, Mark?
Yeah.
Cindy Moyer is our Cindy Moyer Bradley is our preschool director. So she had an event and she was sad she couldn't be here. So thank you, Cindy. So this is a basket from our gathering place with coffees and some tea and a mug.
And by the way, the Gathering Place sponsored Jeff's performance tonight. So there's a plug for them. So that means every cent that you give tonight for gift baskets or offering goes directly to the Feed Them program.
Start bidding it.
Who would have been 20? 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 20 would have been 22, 50. 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 22, 50 would have been 25. 22, 50 would have been 25. 22, 50 would have been 25. 25 would have been 20. 25 would have been 2750, 25 would have been 2750, 25 would have been 2750, 2750 would have been 30, 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 $27.50 sold.
It's a pie.
It is a pie. This is a sour cherry pie made by, just a cherry pie. Okay, it's a cherry crumb pie. I don't know, it sounds delicious. It looks delicious. It's a cherry pie.
Now, this is a Church of the Brethren, so of course you're going to go home from that here tonight. You're going to put whipped cream on that and a big scoop of ice cream. So just think about how good that's going to taste when you get home with ice cream on it.
That sounds good enough to make an opening bid of $10.
There you go. $10 from the auctioneer.
10 would have been 250, 10 would have been 1250, 10 would have been 1250, 10 would have been 1250, 1250 would have been 15, 1250 would have been 15, 1250 would have been 15, I got 1250 would have been 15, 1250 would have been 15, 15 would have been 1750, 15 would have been 1750, 1750 would have been 20, 1750 would have been 20, 1750 would have been 20, 22. 20 would have been 2250, 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 20 would have been 2250.
Oh, don't make the poor girl beg. Don't make me beg.
2250 would have been 25, 2250 would have been 25, 2250 would have been 25, 25 would have been 2750, 25 would have been 2750, 2750 would have been 30, 2750 would have been 30, 30 would have been 3250, 30 would have been 3250, 30 would have been 3250, 30 would have been 3250.
It's a cherry pie. The ice cream's on you.
30 would have been 3250. 30 would have been 3250, 30 would have been 3250, 3250 would have been 35. Yeah, he was in.
John's got it.
3250 would 35 would have been 3750, 3750 would have been 40, 40 would have been 4250, 4250 would have been 45, 4250 would have been 45, 4250 would have been 45, 45 would have been 4750, 45 would have been 47, 4750 would have been 4750 would have been 50, 4750 would have been 50, 4750 would have been 50, 50 would have been 5250, 50 would have been 52, 50, 52, 50 would have been 55, 52, 50 would have been 55, 52, 50 would have been 55, 55 would have been 57, 50, 55 would have been 57, 50, 57, 50 would have been 60, 57, 50 would have been 60, 60 would have been 62, 50, 50 would have been 60 would have been 62, 50, 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 $60 sold.
Of course, for those of you who don't know, the guy that bought that could get that pie for $4 at the gathering place. So there's your inspiration. This is a quilt done by our Ladies Aid Society here and donated. So that would make a nice throw for your couch. It was done by Vera. Vera Gross. So that is a keepsake. That will keep your legs warm in the wintertime. It'll keep your couch warm in the wintertime.
Who would have been 50? 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 Who would have been 25? 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 20. 25 would have been 30, 25 would have been 30, 30 would have been 35, 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 I got 30 would have been.
Handmade.
I got 35 would have been 40, 35 would have been 30. 35 would have been 40, 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 40 would have been 45, 40 would have been 45, 40 would have been 45, I got 40 would have been 45, 45 would have been 50, 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 got 45 would have been 50, 45 would have been 50, 45 would have been 50, 45 would have been 50.
The bid is 45, correct?
50 would have been 55, 50 would have been 55, 50 would have been 55, 55 would have been 60, 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 60 would have been 65, 60 would have been 65, I got 60 would have been 65, 60 would have been 65, 65 would have been 70, 65 would have been 70, 65 would have been 70, 70 would have been 75, 70 would have been 75, 75 would have been 80, 75 would have been 80, 75 would have been 80, 80 would have been 85, I got 80 would have been 85, 80 would have been 85, 80 would have been 85. 85 would have been 90, 85 would have been 90, I got 85 would have been 90, 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 90 would have been 95, 90 would have been 95, I got 90 would have been 95, 95, 95 would have been 100, 95 would have been 100, 95 would have been 100, I got a 95 would have been $100, 95 would have been $100, 95 would have been $100, 100 would have been 110, 100 would have been 110, 100 would have been 110. I got 100 would have been 110, 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 $100 sold. I'll be back. I need a drink.
Vera will be very happy.
Okay, what do we have here? Hershey's candy. Look at all that.
I'm seeing Reese's Pieces
There's-
and Nuggets
And yeah,
and peanut butter cups. Hey, wait. That would go really nice with the ice cream and the pie.
okay, on the Hershey's candy, and you know what Hershey's candy costs these days.
Oh, at least 50 bucks. At least.
Is that a bid?
No.
Why not? It's for a good cause. I heard 50 out there. Who'll get 55?
Oh, that's-
55 would have been 55. 55 would have been 55. 50 would have been 55. 55 would have been 55. You're not even at retail yet. 55. 55 would have been 55. 50 would have been 55. Anyone at 55?
You're at 50.
You
Jacob.
bought
You
it
already
for
have it.
$50. Thank you.
That's my son-in-law. So do I get some of that on the way home, or do I have to give you money for it? There you go. Oh, if I won any, it's 30. Oh, see, now you're doing that wrong. If I won any, it should be 75. Jacob. So baking basket.
Yeah, so there's,
Baking basket from,
it's from,
well, for Mom, from you.
it's from me, yeah. So there's a little scooper, there's a spatula, some measuring cups, there's some cookie cutters with a castle and a dragon and a princess, and then there's a mom and child matching aprons. Or it can be dad and child matching aprons because it's like hot dogs and chicken wings and I'm not sure what all's on there. Maybe a milkshake or something?
Unisex.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. So it's not just a girl's basket. It's a baking and mother and child, dad and child baking basket.
Okay, and from what I can see, it looks as though it will be easy cleanup. It looks like stainless steel. Okay, on the bakeware, who gave $10 for all the bakeware? 10, 10, 10 would be 10. No, that's not by the piece, that's for the whole set. 10, 12 and a half, 15, 15. 15 would be 15, a 12 and a half, 15. 15 would be 15, a 12 and a half. You're in at 12 and a half. Who'll get 15? There's 15, 17 and a half, 17 and a half. I'm back, 17 and a half. 17 and a half would have been 17 and a half. I have 15 on my right, 17 and a half, and 20, 20, 22 and a half, 22 and a half. 22 and a half would have been 22 and a half, 25, 25, 7 and a half, 27 and a half, 27 and a half would have been 27 and a half, 27 and a half would have been 27 and a half, out 25 would have been 27 and a half, anyone at 27 and a half, 27 and a half, 30, 30, 32 and a half, 32 and a half, 32 and a half would have been 32 and a half, out 30 would be 32 and a half, 32 and a half would have been 32 and a half, anyone at 32 and a half. You bought it for $30. Thank you.
Is this a mystery gift? No. Oh, no mystery gift. Oh.
And it rains for 40 days and 40 nights. You got your set.
Snacks for when it rains this week for 40 days and 40 nights.
Noah's Ark is like
There you go. Hey, there's some Cheez-Its in here. So, potato skins. There's Cheetos in here. No, I don't see any. Well, are there any pork rinds? There's no locust wings.
oh, no.
There's bugles in there.
Okay. On the snack box, a lot of good snacks in there. Who'll give 20 for the box? For the whole box of snacks, 20, 25, 30, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 60, Now, 60 in the back, 60. 60 would have been 60, 55 would have been 60. 60 would have been 60, 55 would have been 60. 60 would have been, you're in at 55 at 60. 60. 60 would have been 60, anyone at $60. The people on the right here can bid as well. 55 would have been 60. 60 would have been 60, anyone at $60.
We can throw in diet advice when you're done with them.
Sold, $55. Okay, did you wet your whistle now? You ready to go again?
Ooh, it's another pie. Oh, it's a cake.
Okay, yeah, it's a cake. And
The camera's up there, so tilt it this way a little bit.
but don't dump it.
There you go.
It's not meant to be an upside down cake. It's
You know what? I did that to
It-
the very first cake my wife ever made for me. The dog enjoyed it a lot.
okay. I made this, and it is a prize-winning recipe that I used, so I did earn the bragging rights. It was a blue ribbon cake at one of the country fairs.
And what is it called?
I don't know. It's like a shortcake with a cherry pie filling in the insert of the cake, and
It's heavy.
it's heavy. It's good. And I put. She's my taste tester. So, there you go. A homemade shortcake with cherry pie filling topping.
Who would have been 25? Who would have been 25? Who would have been 25? 25 would have been 30. 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 30 would have been 35. 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 30 would have been 32. 50. 30 would have been 32. 50. 32. 50 would have been 35. 32. 50 would have been 35. 32. 50 would have been 35. 35 would have been 37. 50. 35 would have been 37. 50. 35 would have been 37. 50. 37. 50 would have been 40. 37. 50 would have been 40. 40 would have been 42, 50, 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 42, 50 would have been 45, 42, 50 would have been 45, 45 would have been 47, 50, 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 47, 50 would have been 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 50, 50 would have been 52, 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 50, 52, 50 would have been 55, 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 52, 50.
Remember, they do accept credit
So
cards.
yeah. He can take
52,
credit
50 would have
cards.
been 55, 52, 50 sold.
Careful when you scratch your head there, Cindy. What do you got next there? You're doing the chest next? Okay, this is one of the key items. It is a cedar hope chest. Oh, it's not just an oak. I said an oak chest. Not
It's
a
an
hope chest.
oak chest. You can use your imagination. It'll make a good blanket chest, a good hope chest,
That
good
quilt
toy
would fit
chest
in
for
it
the
nicely?
kids.
The quilt would fit right in it.
What's that?
The quilt would fit right in that.
Yeah, it would.
Actually, the pies would fit right in that too.
Who would have been 25? 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 25 would have been 30. 25 would have been 30. 30 would have been 35. 30 would have been 35. I got 30 would have been 35. 35 would have been 40. I got 35 would have been 40. 35 would have been 40. 40 would have been 45. 40. I got 100 would have been 110, 100 would have been 110, 100 would have been 110, 110 would have been 120, 110 would have been 120, 110 would have been 120. I got 110 would have been 120, 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 120 would have been 130, 120 would have been 130, 120 would have been 130, 130 would have been 140, 130 would 120 would have been 140, 120 would have been 140, 120 would have been 140, 120 would have been 130, 120 would have been 130, 120 would have been 130, 130 would have been 140, 130 would have been 140, 130 would have been 140. I got 130 would have been 140, 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 130. Sold.
Who ended up with it? Gary. What do we got next?
A minute. Okay, a lot of the items in here are items that were donated to the Little Swatara preschool. Over half the items. People donate items that are new or slightly used, and we really appreciate that. A lot of the things we cannot use because they are secular. We call them that. We can't endorse Disney or Trolls or Frozen or Disney princesses, so what do we do then with these items? And this was the perfect opportunity to use these items. A few more things were added, so that's what's in here, things that we can't use in preschool.
So what do we have there? We have a Finding Nemo backpack.
Just sharks.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, there's Dory in the front. See?
Okay.
That's Dory. What
Yeah.
else do we got in there? We got, yeah, I'm up on my kids' movies. We got some puzzle books. We have a Disney Junior Popper game.
A lot of trolls.
A lot of troll stuff. Here you go, Savannah. Here's Disney princesses.
Oh, Slinky.
So there's
Indoor activities, age 3 to 8.
There you go. Indoor activities, age 3 to 8.
Who would have been 10? 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 10 would have been 12. 10 would have been 12. 10 would have been 10. 12. 10 would have been 12. 12 would have been 14. 12 would have been 14. 12 would have been 14. I got 12 would have been 14. 12 would have been 14. 12 would have been 14. 14 would have been 16. I got 14 would have been 16. 16 would have been 18. 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 So I got 16 would have been 18. 18 would have been 20. 18 would have been 20. 18 would have been 20. I got 18 would have been 20. 18 would have been 20. 20 would have been 22, 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 22 would have been 24, 22 would have been 24, 22 would have been 24, 24 would have been 26, I got 24 would have been 26, 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 26 would have been 28, 26 would have been 28, 28 would have been 30, 28 would have been 30, 28 would have been 30, 28 would have been 30. 28 would have been 30, 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 30 would have been 32, 30 would have been 32, 30 would have been 32, 32, 32 would have been 34, 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 34 would have been 36, 34 would have been 36, 34 would have been 36, 36 would have been 38, 36 would have been 38, 36 would have been 38, 36 would have been 38. 38 would have been 40, 38 would have been 40, 38 would have been 40, 40 would have been 42, 40 would have been 42, 40 would have been 42. 40 would have been 42, 40 would have been 42, 40 would have been 42. Sold.
Judy got it? 40. Judy got it. What's this one?
This is a beautiful garden basket with some tools and work gloves in, and little apron, spray bottle for your plants, and a decorative box. Yeah, you can actually use this garden box.
Did you hit the button? Trade.
Who would have been 10? 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 10 would have been 12. 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 12 would have been 14. 12 would have been 14. 12 would have been 14. 14 would have been 16. I got 14 would have been 16. 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 I got 14 would have been 16. 16 would have been 18. 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 I got 16 would have been 18. 18 would have been 20, 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 20 would have been 22, 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 22 would have been 24, 22 would have been 24, 22 would have been 24, 24 would have been 26, 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 sold for $24.
Okay. This is a hand crocheted tree topper angel. My wife makes these, and she was kind enough to donate one for this cause. She usually has one at the country fair as well, and I can proudly say that when she makes them and we take them up there, they are prize-winning angels, and pretty much are one of a kind. Each one is slightly different. So, there you go, on the tree topper angel.
Who would have been 25? Who would have been 25? Who would have been 25? 25 would have been 30. 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 I got 25 would have been 30. 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 30 would have been 35. 30 would have been 35. 35 would have been 40. 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 I got 35 would have been 40. 35 would have been 40. 40 would have been 45. 40 would have been 45. 40 would have been 45. 45 would have been 46, 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 46 would have been 47, 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 got 46 would have been 47, 46 would have been 47, 47 would have been 48, 47 would have been 48, 47 would have been 48, 48 would have been 49, 49 would have been 50, 50, 50 would have been 55. 50 would have been 55, 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 I got 50 would have been 55. Huh? 55 would have been 60, 55 would have been 60, 55 would have been 60, I got 55 would have been 60, 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 55 would have been 60.
Okay, that's like $1 an hour for the amount of work she put into that. Less than that. That's without materials. Go ahead. The bid is 55.
55 would have been 60. 60. 60 would have been 65, 60 would have been 65, 60 would have been 65, 60 would have been 65. Got 60 would have been 65, 60 would have been 65, 60 would have been 65, 60 would have been 65. $65 sold.
We're coming down to the end here. There's only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 left. 7, 8, 7.
Something like that. So, who out there has a dog or a puppy? Well, we have a dog basket for all you dog lovers. We've got a brush and a bunch of toys and a dog waste bags for that poopy part of the dog job, a big chicken flavor ring, some bowls, some biscuits.
And for those of you that are dog owners and it's your precious little baby, you know what the doggy toys cost.
Who would have been 25? Who would have been 25? Who would have been 25? 25 would have been 30. 25 would have been 30. I got 25 would have been 30. 25 would have been 30. 25 would have been 30. 30 would have been 35. 30 would have been 35. I got 30 would have been 35. 30 would have been 35. 35 would have been 40. 35 would have been 40. I got 35 would have been 40. 35 would have been 40. 40 would have been 45. 40 would have been 45. I got 40 would have been 45. 45 would have been 50, 45 would have been 50, I got 45 would have been 50, 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 50 would have been 55, 50 would have been 55, I got 50 would have been 55, 55 would have been 60, 55 would have been 60, 55 would have been 60, I got 55 would have been 60, 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 sold.
I'm going to trade back here because this is a better microphone.
55.
We got another, you keeping a running total. You going to announce the big, we don't have a drum roll, but we can announce a big running total at the end. Can you add that fast?
Okay. Again, this is a shoe fly pie that I had the privilege of having the bragging rights to it. It made from a prize-winning recipe.
I'm sensing a theme here.
Oh, she's Vanna. And who's the guy that says, let's make a deal?
That's deal or no deal.
So, Monty Hall, yeah, I
It takes
knew it.
people of
I
a
just
certain
couldn't
age
think
to
of
get
it.
that.
I'm getting old at sea now, you know, I can't remember stuff. But yeah, this is a prize-winning recipe that this was made with. I did cheat a little bit. I used the store-bought crust. But the rest of it is original. You would not want to try any pie crust that I would make. For some reason or other, I just cannot make pie crust. So our marriage has been very good over the years. She's great at making pie shells, and I'm great at making the rest of it. Okay, so there you go now. Homemade shoe fly pie.
Who would have been 25? 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 Who would have been 10? Who would have been 10? Would have been 15? 10 would have been 15? 10 would have been 15? 10 would have been 15? 15 would have been 20, 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 I got 15 would have been 20, 15 would have been 20, 15 would have been 20, 20 would have been 25, 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 25 would have been 30, 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 30 would have been 35, 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 35 would have been 40, 35 would have been 40, I got 35 would have been 40, 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 35 would have been 40. Sold. For $35 in the back. 35.
Do you have that many fingers, Craig? Or you have to take your shoes off? Greg.
So for all you grandparents out there, when you need something for your grandchildren to do, we've got an arts and craft basket. We've got paints, watercolors, watercolor crayons. We've got little wooden things to paint. We've got friendship bracelets to make. We've got construction paper. What is this called?
A canvas.
Canvas. Thank you. Canvas. I'm like, why can I not get that word? And some coloring, like fancy coloring books, I think are in there. Markers. It's a really, paintbrushes. Ooh, yeah. This is a nice basket.
For the budding artists.
Who would have been 20? 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 20 would have been 25, 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 25 would have been 30, 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 30 would have been 35, 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 $30 sold.
What do you got there, Becky?
This is from D'Annunzio's in Lebanon. There are 4 coupons. Each coupon says buy 1 hoagie, get 1 free.
So that's 8 hoagies.
And you're paying, you buy 4 hoagies, you get 4 hoagies free.
Does it,
Depends on what hoagie you buy.
Okay.
I don't know. Does anybody know what a hoagie at D'Annunzio's costs? Oh, wait, here's a menu. The Hungry Italian is $10. The Bambino is 9 1/4. So you get at least $40 worth of coupons here.
You don't have to use them all at the same time either.
Nope.
Actually, you're getting $80 worth. You're getting 4
40,
plus
that's
4.
right. If you spend 40, you get 80.
Yeah.
Wait, is that how the math works? Maybe we should let him work that.
On the gift certificates for, you say it's D'Annunzio's, is that how it's pronounced? D'Annunzio, yeah. I'm one of them Dutchmen. I can't speak them kind of languages.
Get out.
Ich kann aber Deutsch verkaufen, werde ich zählt alle geben. Zählt alle, bezählt alle.
D'Annunzio's.
Or D'Annunzio's, whatever. Who gives $10 for all the gift cards? 10, 12 and a half, 12 and a half, 12 and a half would have been 12 and a half, 12 and a half would have been 12 and a half, 10 would have been 12 and a half. There's 12 and a half and 15, 17 and a half, $20, 2 and a half, 25, 7 and a half, 27 and a half and 30, 2 and a half, 32 and a half, 32 and a half, 35, 35, 35, $48 value, you're saving $5. 40, 37 and a half and 40, 40. 40 would have been 40, 37 and a half would have been 40, 2 and a half, 42 and a half, 42 and a half, would you get 42 and a half, anyone at 42 and a half?
It's for the Feed Them program.
It's for the, yeah, it's for a
You're
good
getting
cause.
hoagies and
42 and a
feeding
half,
people.
42 and a half, would have been 42 and a half, anyone? 50, there you go, who'll get 55? 55, 60, 60, 60.
We
What's
gotta-
your credit limit? 60, 60.
We're stalling for the 15-second delay online.
Oh, okay.
So you need to patter for
We're
15 seconds.
55. Will anyone give 60? You're in at 55.
There you go.
Online, are you in at 60? I have 55. Will you give 60? 60 would have been 60. Yeah, 55 would have been 60. 60 would have been 60.
Type faster, Todd. 60.
60, 65, 65, 65 would have been 65, 60 would have been 65. 65, 65 would have been 65. I gave him time, I'll give you time. 65, 65 would have been 65, 60 would have been 65. Anyone at 65? $60.
Who do you got, Todd? Cindy again.
The person out there somewhere in cyberspace just bought themselves some hoagies.
She's the whole way from West Virginia she's dialing in.
Uh-huh.
But she lives in Lebanon.
Do you offer free shipping?
Well, she's going to have to come get it. I think we can afford a stamp on that.
So, guys, this is a really nice basket. There is a coffee tea mug in here that is pink and says, "Hello, gorgeous." Some pink fuzzy socks, 3 fancy boxes of tea, and 4 books, one of which is Reckless Faith, Mirror, Mirror, What Happens When, and Jesus First.
So if you're looking for a birthday present, or for a get out of trouble present,
Who would have been 10? 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 10 would have been 12. 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 12 would have been 14. 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 12 would have been 14, 12 would have been 14, 14 would have been 16, 14 would have been 16, 16 would have been 18, 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 18 would have been 20, 18 would have been 20, 18 would have been 20, 20 would have been 22, 20 would have been 22, 20 would have been 22, 10, 20 would have been 22, 20 would have been 22, 22 would have been 24, 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 $22, 24, 24, 24 would have been 26, 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 24 would have been 26.
It's only $2 more, Pam.
24 would have been 26, 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 $24. 26? 26 would have been 28, 26 would have been 28, 26 would have been 28, 26. I didn't say sold. 26 would have been 28, 26 would have been 28, 26, 28 would have been 28. 26 would have been 28, 26 would have been 28, 26 would have been 28, 28 would have been 30, 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 28 would have been 30. $28 sold.
I thought we only had to deal with lag time when it's a bid online. Apparently that applies here too.
What do you got next there, Becky?
But Craig and Jenny told me they're not prejudiced. They'll take anybody's money. All you have to do is let us know that you're willing to part with it.
There you go.
I don't know.
You don't know.
Oh,
This is a handmade sleigh, wooden sleigh, and 5 reindeer made by Ken Yingst. We put it on the tray just to hold it up here. I do have a box for it to go home in. It's a beautiful handcrafted item. Ken Yingst was donated to our mission.
and where's Santa Claus?
Well, we do have Rudolph, so maybe Santa Claus is in the back eating pie.
Ah,
Sure. I got snow in his antler.
so that's how he got one of these, huh?
Yeah.
Eating pie. Okay. Kenny Yingst is one of the premier artisans of the area. I've known him for many, many years. His woodworking is outstanding. Who'll get 50 for the set? 50. 50 would fit. There's 50 and 5. 55. 55 would have been 55. 50 would have been 55. 55 would have been 55. I'm allowing for lag time. 55. 55 would have been 55 out of 50. Who'll get 55? 55 would have been 55. 55 would have been 55. Kenny is not a young man anymore. There may not be many more of these in the future. 50 would have been 55. 55 would have been 55. 55 would have been 55. 50 would have been 55. Anyone at 55? $50 to that good-looking young woman in the blue top or whatever.
Ooh, they get a pink doily with it. Or it's just on a table with a pink doily. Oh.
This basket was purchased by the Wangert family, extended Wangert family, and a discount was given by Johnson's Nursery there on Midway Road. So
Okay. Those flowers.
Those
this
are
is
real
another
flowers.
thing for you guys. Like, look, your wife would already have a beautiful display to put on your porch.
Yeah, there you go. I think you need that. She says she likes that. Okay, on this piece here, very nice decorative piece with live plants. We'll give 25 for it. 25. 25 would have 25, 25, 50, 35, 45, 45, 50, 5, 55, 60, 5, 70, 5, 75, 75. It is really nice. 75, we got a new bidder. 80, 85, 90, 5, 100, 105, 105, 105, we give 105. 105, we give 105. 105, it's only $5 more. 105. 105, we give 105. I have 100, we give 105. Anyone at 105?
Oh, now we have to tap dance again.
Can
we get Jeff back up to play something for a couple minutes before we stall?
110. 115. 115. You're both out now. 115. 115. It's only $5 more. 115. 115, we give 115. 110, we give 115. 115, we give 115. Anyone at 115? $110 bought it.
Thank you, Scott.
Okay.
I'm kind of surprised that's actually working.
What's that?
I'm kind of surprised that's actually working, that they can get in there quick enough. You have to come pick it up, Scott.
So, Glenn, I've never entered my chocolate fudge layer cake in any contest. But I have 2 grown boys. They're both 6'1". They love it. I've had some friends over to the house, and they've had some, and it's pretty good. So it's a chocolate fudge layer cake. And it's not super sweet frosting because it's whipping cream and chocolate chips whipped together in decadent, creamy indulgence. It weighs about 7 pounds, this cake.
Now, if I buy that and I eat it, will I grow to be 6 feet tall?
You might.
I might.
You might. I don't know.
Boy, that's very tempting.
It could be a cake miracle. You know,
you might grow 6 feet
and
around. I don't know.
We're in a church, so miracles can happen. Yeah. Okay, on that chocolate fudge cake. Who gave 25 for the chocolate fudge cake? There it is, 25, 30, 30, 30, 30 would have been 30. You know what? That's awfully tempting. I think I'll give 30, 35, 35, 35. 40. Oh my goodness. I don't know if I want to be 6 foot tall.
Yeah, Glenn, it's only $5 more.
We have 40 over there. We'll get 45. In the back, 45, 50, 50, 5, 55. 55 would have been 55. 50 on the right. Who'll get 55? 55 would have been 55. 55 and 60. 65, 65. 70, 75, 75, 75, you're already 6 foot tall. 75, 75 would have been 75 up, 70 would have been 75, 75 would have been 70, 75, 80, 80. Would you like to be 6 foot tall? 80, 80 would have been 80, I have 75, there's 80, 85, 85, 85 would have been 85, anyone at 85? $80 bought it. Oh.
This is a gluten-free basket. For those of you who didn't bid on the snacks and haven't bid on the pie, this one's gluten-free. And it is from the Blue Marsh Market, so that's from Mary and Gary. It includes pancake mix, granola, pasta, sauce, a tuna kit, pudding cups, drinks, crackers, chips, veggie crisps, and cheese crisps. I can't get that all out. Sorry. So there you go. For those that didn't want to bid on the chocolate stuff, here's a healthy basket for you, and then you'll be 6 feet tall.
Who would have bid 25? Who would have bid 25? Who would have bid 25? 25 would have bid 25 would have been 30, 25 would have been 30, I got 25 would have been 30, 25 would have been 30, 25 would have been 30, 25 would have been 27.50, 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 27.50 would have been 30, 25, 27.50 would have been 30, 27.50 would have been 30, 30 would have been 32.50, 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 32.50 would have been 35, 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 35 would have been 37.50, 35 would have been 37.50, 35 would have been 37.50, 37.50 would have been 40, 37.50 would have been 40, 37.50 would have been 40. 40 would have been 42.50, 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 42.50 would have been 45, 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 42.50 would have been 45.
It's only $2 more, Denise.
$2.50.
$2.50.
42.50 would have been 45, 45 would have been 47.50, 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 $45 sold in the back.
So we had another donation from Ancestor Coffee House on Springwood Drive in Lebanon. So there is a t-shirt in here, a coffee mug, some fancy cookies, some coffee, and a $20 gift certificate for that restaurant. So you've had the cake, you've had the snacks, now you need some coffee to stay awake.
Who would have been 25, 70, 65, would have been 70, 65, would have been 70, I got 65, would have been 70, 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 65, would have been 70.
Al, you and John can go together on it.
65 would have been 70, 65 would have been 70, 65 would have been 70, $65 sold.
That would be Glenn. They're gift cards. It's $45 in Google Play money. Becky wants me to explain the Google Play money. It's anybody under 40 knows what it is. Yeah, I know I'm not under 40, but I know what it is. It is well, it's for the Google Play Store, which is so anybody with an Android phone or a Google device, it's $45 worth of gift cards. So it's a $45 face value. You gonna do it with the sign? What do you think, Glenn? Do it separately with the sign or do it together? So it's a $45 value in the sign. Gift cards. Oh, you buy toys for your phone. So people were buying toys for their dogs. This is for people who want to buy toys for their phones. A nice set of earbuds, some games. Let her rip. You know what it's worth.
I have a smartphone and I can guarantee it's smarter.
Who would have been 25? 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 Who would have been 25?
Oh, it's $40. I'll bid 25.
I got 25, would have been 30, 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 25, would have been 30. I got 25, would have been 30, 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 25, would have been 30. $25 sold.
Okay. Savannah, guess what you're getting in your Christmas stocking? 25.
Okay. This welcome sign at the bottom says, live well, laugh often, and love more, much. Can't read upside down. I have a hard time reading right side up. On the welcome sign, who'll get $5 for the welcome sign? 5, 7.5, 10, 12.5, 12.5. 12.5 would have been 12.5 and 15, 15, 17.5, 17.5 and $20, 20, 2.5, 22.5, 22 and a half would have been 22 and a half and 25. 25, 27 and a half, 27 and a half, 27 and a half would have been 27 and a half for a good cause. 27 and a half, 27 and a half, 27 and a half would have been 27 and a half, 27 and a half would have been 27 and a half. Anyone at 27 and a half? $25 in the center on the right.
There's the cedar chest. You want to do that? Okay, so we're doing more. Okay, we're going to let this sit here so that you guys can look at it and wind up to it.
Okay, we have 2 baskets and then this. Another garden basket. Boy, I see a bulb planter,
Yep, a little pruners.
a little back scratcher. Oh no, I guess it's a cultivator.
Trowel. It even has a hat. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Hat, gloves. 2 pair of gloves, actually.
Pruner combination.
Yeah.
Wow.
And a nice little bucket.
Yeah, there you go. On the gardening set, who'll get 20 for the gardening set? 20, 20, 20 would have 20, 20 would have 20, and 2 and a half, and 25, 25, 27 and a half, 30, 30, 2 and a half, 32 and a half, 32 and a half, 32 and a half. Oh, you need that to make the vegetables grow. Oh, you're going to use your fingers to dig in the dirt. 27 and a half, 27 and a half, and 30, 32 and a half, 35, 35, 35, 35 would have been 35, 37 and a half, 37 and a half, and 40, 42 and a half, 42 and a half, 45, 45, 45 would have been 45, 45 would have been 45, up 42 and a half would have been 45, 45 would have been 45, anyone at 45, 42 and a half bought it.
Gary.
Oh, she said grandparents. I guess that means I
Okay,
got to
so-
step back and she has to sell it.
So this is a beach set with a dump truck, bucket, banana boat, kids suntan lotion, an orange bubble wand, 2 inflatable beach balls, an inflatable outdoor toy soccer ball, frisbees, sidewalk chalk, bubbles, sandcastle molds, 2 plastic chairs, and a lawn dart game. Can you do a safe lawn dart game, not the old-fashioned ones that were like kamikaze darts. So these are, with these you just knock people out. You don't actually stab them.
Who would have been 25? Who would have been 25? 25 would have been 30. 25 would have been 30. 30 would have been 35. I got 30. Would have been 35. 30 would have been 35. 30 would have been 35. 35 would have been 40. 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 I got 35. Would have been 40. 40 would have been 45. 40 would have been 45. 45 would have been 50. 45 would have been 50. 50 would have been 55. 50 would have been 55. 55 would have been 60. 55 would have been 60. 55 would have been 60. 60 would have been 65. 60 would have been 65. 65 would have been 70. 65 would have been 70. 70 would have been 75. 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 75 would have been 80, 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 80 would have been 85, 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 85 would have been 90, 85 would have been 90, 85 would have been 90, I got 85 would have been 90, 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 90 would have been 95, 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 90 would have been 95. 95 would have been 100, 95 would have been 100, I got 95 would have been 100, 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 95 would have been 100. 100 would have been 110, 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 100 would have been 105, 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 100 would have been 105. 105, I got 105 would have been 110, 105 would have been 110, 105 would have been 110, 105 would have been 110. 105 would have been 110, 105 would have been 110, 105 would have been 110. $105 sold.
The cedar chest. Do you want to tell us anything about the cedar chest? It's made of cedar and it's a chest.
It's made of cedar. You can smell it when you open it because the inside is not finished. So the lid lifts up. And these locks are childproof. There's a key in here. So when you close this chest, you have to hold the button in, and then it'll lock. That way a kid can't crawl in there and lock themselves in. It's something, believe it or not, even a nobody like me, when you build things, you gotta make them OSHA approved. I made it 2 weeks ago when I was home for the last Feed Them event. I did that in my spare time.
Yeah.
Well, back then,
But just,
it was already cut out and stuff, so all I had to do was put it back together.
some,
But I can tell you that there's, altogether, there's many hours in it.
There you go.
And pre-COVID, haven't been at any show since COVID. I was getting $450 to $500 for the same chest. I only have one more cut out, so there'll only ever be one more made. There's probably
It's a limited edition.
yeah.
there's probably 30 to 35 of them out there, but with different things on. This is the only one I ever made with the Morning Glory and the Faith, Hope, and Love on it. So,
I bet you he would even sign it for you.
yeah, sure I
Yeah.
would. Across the top or across the front here. And, So that's about what I can tell you.
Okay, it's a one-of-a-kind item, and when he started, there was some assembly required, batteries not included. And when he says child-proof lock, that means adults can't open them either. I find that out with the just about all the safety caps that are on bottles these days. Child-proof, yeah, you got to ask a child to open it for you. So that's where the child-proof comes in. You got to give it to a child so they can prove to you that they can open it for you.
Todd, is Lucas here? Where's
Okay. On,
we only need him for 2 minutes.
and I think this is the last item, is that correct?
No, we have 2 more things yet.
Oh, okay. On the cedar chest, do I have an opening bid of 400? 400, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. Who'll give 300? 300, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 2.5. Well, I have an opening bid of 200, 2.5, 300, 3, 3, 3, 3, I have 2.5, what about 3? 3, 3.5, 4, 4, 4.5, 4.5, 4.5, 5, 5.5, 5.5, 600, 6, 6.5, 6.5, 7, 7, 7.5, 7.5, 7.5. How about 750? 750, 750 would have been 750. 7 would have been 7.25. 725. It's only 25 more. 725. 725 would have been 725. 725 would have been 725. Would anyone be interested at 710? 710? 710, you came so far, it's only $10 more, 710. 710 would have been 710, I have 700, will you 710? 710, will you 710, I have 700, will you 710, anyone 710? 710, he finally made up his mind. 720, 720, 730, 730, there won't be another one like this, 730, 730, 730, put it in your hope chest, you got a long ways to go yet. 730, 730 would be 730, have 720, we give 730. 730, we give 730, anyone at 730? Sold, $720, thank you.
So we have 2 items left. We have
And
the
just
grand
think-
prize.
Just think of all the people we can feed with what that brought in.
That's right,
Yeah.
700, think of that.
That's
At
what we're
$2
here for.
a piece. So speaking of feeding, we have two things left. We have the grand prize, which we're not bringing up yet. And my mother said she would auction off a dinner for 6 people. So I don't know, for those of you who don't know my mother, she is into gourmet cooking. If you've ever done the Guess Who's Coming to Dinner meals here, you know what her meals are like. It's generally appetizers, several courses. It's a full-blown gourmet meal like you would get at a restaurant. So she is willing. Yep. So she is willing to do dinner for 6, and you can talk to her and arrange times and menus. And she's in the Sinking Spring area, so it would be at her house, which has a swimming pool. So you can swim off the meal after you eat it. And a dog to cuddle, a dog that likes cuddling.
Okay. Dinner for 6. Let's see.
I'd started at $100.
That
No
sounds
less.
like a good starting point. Who'll give 100? There it is, 100, 110, 110, 120, 130, 140, 150, 175, 175, 200, 200, 200, 200, 2 and a quarter, 2 and a quarter, 2 and a half, 2 and a half, 275, 275, 275 would have been 275. I have 2 and a half in the front. 275, 275, 275. Don't let him scare you. 275. Is that a bid, sir? 275, 300, 3 would have been 300. 300, we give 300, I have 275, would have been 3 would have been 3, I have 275, would have been 300. 300, we give 300, and you don't even have to worry about including a tip. 300, we give
300, I
300.
won't come.
300, we give 300. Ay, ay, ay.
For 3 and a quarter,
Three.
I'll serve you.
300, we give 300. 275, 3, no friends at an auction, 3 would have 3 would have 3. Maybe he wasn't a friend to begin with. 3. 400. Who'll get 4 and a quarter? 4 and a quarter. 4 and a quarter, we get 4 and a quarter. 4 and a quarter, we get 4 and a quarter. At 400, we get 4 and a quarter. Anyone at $425. You bought it, 400. Now, is he going to be one of the 6 people you're going to invite?
So I've got an empty plate and a can of whipped cream and a pastor. That would be Matt. Pastor Matt has agreed. I need my team up here to put down a tarp and put the stool out because we're going to auction off a chance to hit Pastor Matt in the face with some whipped cream pie. And it's a full can. The higher the bid, the more whipped cream. I think that's great.
And he's a pretty big man, so he needs a lot of whipped cream. What's that?
You did get Wendy's approval for this, or we're just sneaking it past her? Wendy's not here. It's a good. Oh, Jeff's got to protect his stool there. Where are you going with it?
Yeah, turn the black side out so you can see the whipped cream.
You can put it right over the baptism. Then we just turn the water on and hose it. So right here, right now, in front of everyone, he has agreed to take a pie in the face.
Okay, is this baptism by fire? With whip. What's that? Baptism by dairy. Okay, this should prove to be interesting. There you go. Honestly, a raise of hands, how many would like to see that happen? Let's see, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Gee, I think we're up to $100 already. Okay. This looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Who'll get $50 just for a chant? There's 50.
Boy, that you're not even making it hard.
That hand went up like a rocket. I have 50.
No, it wasn't even your wife.
Who gets 60? 60. 60 would have been 60. Yeah, 50 would have been 60. Well, let's take it a little slower. Who got 55? There's 55 and 60. 5, 70, 5, 80, 5, 90, 90, 5, 100, and 5, 110, 115, 120, 120, 120, we get 120 and 5, 125, 125. John, it's your turn. 125, 130, 130, 130, 5, 135, 140, 5, 50, 155, 160, 165.
Just take it right to
165, 165, one.
Let's listen to the whipped cream.
Do you hear that? Doesn't it sound wonderful? What are we at? 165?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll keep squirting.
170, 170, 170, where you get 170, 165, where you get 170, 170, where you get 170, the plate's getting fuller, 170, 170, where you get 170, 165, where you get 170, 170, where you get 170, we have some lag time here, the plate's getting fuller. Do we have anybody online that's bidding? 165, who'll get 170, 170, 170, where you get 170, 165, where you get 170.
I was hoping to do a second layer.
Oh, a second layer. What, if we get it up to 200?
If you keep bidding, she starts the second layer.
Yeah, this is just first layer.
This is just the first layer.
165, who'll get 170, 170, 170, where you get 170, 170, where you get 170. It's for a good cause. 170, 175. 200, 210, 210, 210, 210, 210, where you get 210, I have 200, where you get 210, 210, where you get 210, I have 200, where you get 210, 210, where you get 210. Is everybody done? I have 200, and I see 2 layers.
And the can's then pretty much empty.
Oh my.
Yeah, I left a little bit for him to taste in case he doesn't get any in his mouth. Yeah.
Okay, so we're at 200. Who gave 210? 210 for a good cause. 210.
Yeah, they're throwing it. Whoever wins the bid is throwing it's doing the whipped cream.
Oh.
Yeah, they're doing it, not me.
Uh-huh.
Not me, Matt. Whoever wins the bid.
So who would like the honor and the privilege of throwing a plate of whipped cream at Pastor Matt? I have 200. Who'll give 210? 210. 210, will you give 210? I have 200. Will you 210? Anyone at 210? You bought the honor and the privilege to throw a plate of whipped cream at the pastor. Yep. Okay. It looks like things just got interesting. Oh, we want to thank everyone here this evening. I think everyone had a lot of fun. I think we did a really, really fine job. We brought in a nice amount of money to help the cause.
It looks like we're at how much,
Just
babe?
shy of $3,000. Between $2,800 and $3,000, depending
Thank
on how
you.
the
Amen.
donation buckets come in.
Amen. So, thank you. There's still some baked goods out back. If you didn't win one in the auction or buy one in the auction, there's still some baked goods in the back. By donation, we have suggested prices, whatever you can do. Checks make out to feed them. We have a checking account so we can remain nonprofit. Cards are up here with Craig. And
Runs a credit card, it'll come up as anything would. If anybody runs a credit card, it will come up on your credit card statement as anything would.
You want to close this out?
Sure.
Send us home.
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this gathering. Thank you for the generosity of these people. For Lord, I think you called, you brought them here, and I think they did what you wanted them to do. With that kind of money, we can feed a bunch of people. In Jesus' name, amen. Go in peace.
Thank you all for coming. Tip your waitress on the way out.
But pay your bill before you leave.
Yeah, Craig's up here to collect.
Yeah, when he said go in peace, I thought maybe I'd better tell them they have to pay first.
Yeah. It'll be much more peaceful if they do. Greg, there we go.
And I personally want to thank everyone that came out this evening for your support of this ministry. It's greatly appreciated. And hopefully, if we do this again, we can raise even more money. Thank you. Have a safe trip home.